Thank you for clicking on this video and your consideration in watching it. Give it a thumbs up if you like it. Give it a thumbs down. Let me know how you feel in the comments. I just thought I would do an introduction to this video because the video is actually part 2 of a part 1 that I put out in 2023. Now, in 2023, I posted the part 1 of my hip replacement surgery experience. This is part 2. It's 2 years late in posting, but I just happened to find the files on my computer as I was cleaning my computer. I said, let me get this out of the way and go ahead and post it. It's just a recall of my exact experience with a little comedy added to it to tell my story, because there may be other people going through the same thing, and I wanted to put my spin on things. It's mostly a comedy because there's some funny things in there. Let me get all these files together, edit a part 2, and put it out there, because I hate to say that there's a part 1 and at the end of part 1 says part 2 coming and part 2 never came. So 2 years later, this is the posting that I needed to do back in 2023, but I'm doing it now in 2025. Procrastination is real. Anyway, I hope you take a look at it, enjoy it. It's not just a medical thing. There's some funny stuff. Ha 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 ha. There's some funny stuff in it too. I always try to inject my content with some comedy, because no matter what you're going through, if you watch my stuff, I want you to laugh or get something from it. So take a look at it. Let me know how you feel in the comments. Thank you for watching. Thumb up, thumb up, thumb up, thumb up. Bye. Oh, and subscribe, 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 subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000, not for any other reason, but just to get there. Thank you.
Chapter 6. Dr. Zupurb.
I filled my wait time with research. I searched for information by using keywords that pertained to hip surgery. By the time elective surgeries were allowed to resume, my situation was at its worst. To raise my leg, I had to lift it with my hand. Walking.
Whoa!
Standing. Laying down. Sitting. Were all extremely painful. Most of the time, I dragged my left leg. Due to pain, stiffness, and an uneven walk, both of my hips began to hurt. I couldn't even go to the bathroom without assistance. I called the doctor's office I had previously visited and requested to be placed on the surgery schedule. He said they would proceed with getting approvals from my insurance, and the scheduler would reach out to me. I waited and waited for the scheduler's call. After 2 weeks of waiting, I called the scheduler. She told was still working on getting approvals and would get back to me with a date. I just couldn't understand why this process was such a pita. I didn't get angry, but I calmly looked through my insurance network. For another doctor, I wasn't going to wait. This 4th experience took me directly to meet with the surgeon, Dr. Zupurb. Looking at my x-rays, he said, "Both of your hip joints are deteriorating. But right now, one is worse than the other." "When would you do the other hip?" I asked. He said 6 weeks after the first surgery, as long as all goes well, but it will be my choice. I know your left hip is more painful. After Dr. Zupurb explained the surgery process and answered my questions, he said, "So when can we schedule you for surgery?" "Now, Doc, I'm coming now."
No, you idiot! He doesn't mean now!
"Oh, sorry." Got excited. He laughed and said his surgery scheduler will contact me. The scheduler called me the next day with my surgery date and other important information for my special day. Very satisfied with these results. I thought back on my journey and the road I traveled to get to this moment. There's a reason why things happen. As long as you have faith, troubles will settle as intended.
Chapter 7. Prep.
Before we begin, please be aware You will soon see examples of a meticulous personality as I share my approach in preparing for major surgery. To keep the video rolling, I'm not going to read the following screens. Timestamps are in the description if you want to pause to read my notes. I made several lists. The surgery prep list was more of a planner as to what and when things needed to be done. The next section was a list of questions for the medical staff. Anytime I thought of a question, I wrote it here. The last section listed pre-surgery tests to be completed.
Chapter 8. Surgery.
2 weeks before surgery, I went to hospital reception to pick up supplies to complete my home prep. The items included Hibiclens, Ensure, and a bottle of Gatorade. Hibiclens is an antibacterial and antimicrobial skin cleaner. Starting 2 days before surgery, I was instructed to take 2 showers a day. For each shower, I had to use fresh linen, wash my hair, use the Hibiclens soap, dress in fresh clothing, and sleep on fresh bedding, which increased the laundry load. The only thing I could put on my skin was deodorant. Ensure was to drink day before surgery, followed by nothing to eat or drink after midnight. However, I was instructed to drink the Gatorade on my way to the hospital. I got up early to get to the hospital on time. After I checked in, I sat in the waiting area to be called to the back. After 15 minutes, I was called to the patient prep area. The nurse went over my medical information, placed compression stocking on my feet, started an IV, and then I meet with my surgeon and anesthesiologist. I had to wait for my turn to go into surgery. I was also surprised to find they no longer use catheterization during surgery, so my biggest worry was about using the bathroom on the surgery table. Finally, I was wheeled into the operating room, where the anesthesiologist was waiting. He comically said, "Time for gin and juice." I remember giggling and nothing else. Waking up in my hospital room, I was in little pain. I felt the rhythmic pressure from a leg compression machine. Something was between my legs. I discovered a triangle foam pillow had been placed between my legs. That must be the abduction pillow to keep my legs from crossing. Still a bit dazed, I was greeted by the nurse assigned to my room. She adjusted my pillows, carefully checked my vitals, and evaluated my pain level. She informed me I would meet with the physical therapist later in the day. The therapist's job was to help me out of bed for the first time after surgery. My nurse instructed me to use the spirometer on the tray. This tool helps to prevent pneumonia and strengthen my lungs. My first meal would be liquid. After that, as long as my stomach good, solid food would start the next day.
Chapter 9. Trapeze.
After a couple of hours, a cheerful young man entered my room carrying several items. Introducing himself as the physical therapist, he carefully placed all the items on the chair across from my bed. "It's my job to get you out of bed. Let's see if you can take a few steps. And if you're feeling up to it, spend some time sitting up in the recliner, but first." He left the room, then returned with the nurse. The two of them installed an overhead crossbar with a trapeze onto the bed. This is a photo of my room from the first surgery. Next, he turned off and removed the compression sleeves from my legs. I grabbed the trapeze to maneuver my body to the edge of the bed. Sitting up, I felt dizzy. so I stopped to get my bearings. Meanwhile, the therapist slides out a walker from the items he had placed near the chair. Placing a transfer belt around my waist, the therapist was reassuring as I made the effort to stand. Start off with your good leg, then test out your operated side. Surprisingly, the first step was easy. Slowly, I took another step. Then with confidence, I asked the therapist to let me go, and continued to take more steps. To the astonishment of the therapist, I was able to walk in a complete circle around the nurse's station and back to my room without much of a struggle. I too was surprised at the ease of walking just 4 hours after surgery. I made it to the recliner and rested. The therapist went on to explain exercises, limitations, and the tools he had placed on the chair. As the therapist left my room, he said I was scheduled for a physical therapy session with other patients later in the day. This session will give us examples of exercises to do at home and how to manage stairs. I thought to myself, that's a full load on surgery day. The nurses went through their checks as I settle in for the overnight stay.
Vitals check. Vitals check. Vitals check. Vitals check. Vitals check. Vitals check.
The next morning, after a night of excessive vitals checks, not really, my nurse said I should be going home. Once the doctor completed the discharge paperwork, by the late afternoon, I was waiting for my ride at the hospital exit and headed for home.
Chapter 10. Heal.
The smooth ride home was slightly painful. The therapist demonstrations in class helped me to conquer the several steps to the front door. I had already dedicated the living room recliner as a spot for recovery. All my favorite activities were pre-arranged around the chair. The recliner was perfect for elevating my legs. My friend Wella volunteered to help me during recovery and made sure the pain prescription was readily available. However, I didn't use much of it. My leg was a bit swollen and the hip was sore. I preferred ice packs over meds to relieve the pain and inflammation. Every day, I did a routine of ankle pumps, along with a few laps around the living room. To keep myself occupied, I watched YouTube to practice drawing techniques and other things. To prevent twisting, Wella helped me in and out of bed. Naturally, I am a side sleeper, but due to the procedure I had to sleep on my back for the next 6 weeks with a wedge between my legs. Not the most comfortable. My second day home, I received a phone call. It was a rep from the home care agency. She set me up with a home nurse and a home physical therapist, who would alternately visit every 2 days. The nurse checked my vitals and changed my bandage when needed. The physical therapist gave me exercises and checked on my progress during each visit. During my 2-week follow-up at the clinic, a fresh x-ray of my hip was evaluated and determined to be healing. Let's pause for a sec. I will be showing my incision as a reference. However, I have artfully adapted the photo to make it less intrusive. Further in the video, a public domain photo will illustrate the incision as it appears full body to provide a realistic vantage point. Now, back to the story. The doctor proceeded to remove 28 staples from the incision and replaced with steri strips, which would fall off or can be removed by myself after 2 weeks. The doctor said the replacement was doing well. After checking my overall health, he released me to outpatient physical therapy. All physical restrictions were to remain, including no driving. My next visit would be in 4 weeks. As soon as I got home, I called the home therapist to inform him I had been cleared for outpatient therapy. Happy for my success, he said he would start the process to terminate all future home care visits. The following week, I went to my initial appointment at the rehab center, where I was introduced to a really nice therapist, Lee. He evaluated the strength and flexibility of the operated hip to create a plan for rehabilitation. Once he finished, he offered the option of selecting my therapist from the staff based on my availability. This would allow Lee to create a visit schedule. As I was already felt connected to Lee through this evaluation, I based my schedule on his availability, and Lee was able to give me an 8-week schedule. Each session started with either the stationary bike or seated elliptical, followed by 3 minutes of stretching. All exercises targeted strengthen my lower body. Every visit was more challenging than the other, and often ended with squats. I first walked into the facility with a walker. By the 3rd week, I was walking stiffly by myself. My therapist was phenomenal in listening to my concerns and giving careful thought to specific exercises that would best aid the healing process. After 8 weeks, he re-evaluated my strength and flexibility. Miguel was happy to see that I was 95% stronger and more flexible than my first evaluation. He congratulated me and told me to ring the graduation bell that sounded throughout the facility. For all of his hard work, I wrote a detailed review of his performance and gave it to his supervisor. At my 6-week doctor follow-up, I was cleared of all restrictions, but Doc told me to be careful about turning my leg inward. He said I could now be scheduled for other hip, but I choose to wait. I was back in surgery for hip hash 2 11 months and 15 days later. Scarring really wasn't that bad. Reflecting back, I originally thought surgery on both hips would be the same. Although I had the same surgeon and same hospital, there were differences that I will list in this video. That I will list here. I hope you enjoyed my creative storytelling of an actual experience. It was a lot of work, but I enjoyed making it. Now on to editing the next video.